and welcome to Chapter 6. There are basically five parables of sorts in Chapter 6, and we are going to focus on the very first one, and it actually begins in verse 1. So let's go to Proverbs Chapter 6, beginning in verse 1. My son, if you are surety for your friend, if you have stricken your hand with a stranger, you are snared by the words of your mouth. You are taken with the words of your mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver yourself when you are come into the hand of your friend. Go, humble yourself, make sure your friend. Do not give sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler. So, first we need to establish our definitions. What is surety? Surety means to take or give on a pledge. It's to put up security. It's a dare or a risk to where you're the guarantor. You are mortgaging something or putting up some sort of collateral. It's like primarily understood as a financial type of transaction or agreement. So that is the basic face value surface application. It would be like the modern equivalent of co-signing, for example. And you're never too old or too young to begin learning biblical financial principles. However, we are obviously going to take this principle and take this proverb and see the principle behind it and how else it can fit on a broader level. So, promising something that you may or may not be able to follow through with is in essence the danger that is warned against here. So I believe you can define that if you want to distill that down into a single word. It's called overcommitment. So the definition of overcommitment, let's see if it fits the definition of what we are comparing it to here, found in our verses in Proverbs. The definition of overcommitment is this: to commit excessively, such as to obligate someone, such as yourself, beyond the ability for fulfillment, or to allocate more resources to a purpose than can be provided, or in excess to the capacity for replenishment, such as to pay a loan that one cannot afford. So, just to make sure we're on track, let's cross-examine where suretyship is explained elsewhere in Proverbs. Chapter 22, 26, and 27. Do not be one of them that strike hands, or of them that are sureties for debts. For if you have nothing to pay, if you don't have it, why should he take away your bed from under you? In other words, what you have put up as collateral. Proverbs 11:15 says, he that is surety for a stranger shall smart or suffer or be afflicted for it. But he that hates or avoids or refuses suretyship is sure. So I think that this fits. Promising something that you may or may not be able to follow through on and reaping the inevitable consequences, I believe we are dealing with the principle of overcommitment. So watching out for overcommitment, guarding against it, goes hand in hand with everything that we have studied so far. It overlaps perfectly. In chapter 1, we talked about pondering our path, the path of our feet. Guarding against overcommitment helps us to ponder the path of our feet and the path of wisdom. It's a natural part of what we studied in chapter 2, where we are learning how to navigate and put up healthy boundaries with friends, and how to be a positive influence and to have responsibility go through our lives. It goes along and overlaps with what we looked at in chapter 3, where we talked about having a good name and being able to win friends and influence people, as the saying goes, and that the best and as best with human consistency possible to be able to follow through on promises and commitments. It is a very integral part to maintaining that good name. It fits in very well with what we studied in chapter 4, where we talked about prioritization, about keeping rocks in our mayonnaise jar that we used as an illustration, a way to make sure that we do not end up with a bunch of sand in our lives instead of the rocks. It goes along and overlaps with perfectly what we looked at in chapter 5, where we keep our path fixed and sure and not movable, where we are diverted from one crisis and emergency to the next crisis and emergency. That is a natural part of being able to focus and clearing the way, just like you would with a machete in the jungle. That's how strong it is to ponder the path of our feet. It goes hand in hand with everything that we have talked about so far. There's a quote, and I don't remember who said it. I really don't. It says that overcommitment is what happens when your enthusiasm for life collides with the reality of your calendar. Now, here's something here. Guarding against overcommitment is for everyone. Now, if you're like me, I could have been born triplets. I have enough interests and things that I genuinely am so intrigued by and want to learn about that it would easily fill the lives of at least 3 people. But if you're not like me and you have a very focused view of your purpose and of your life and what you enjoy, that is perfectly fine. But the same principle holds true, because you can get busy doing anything, but yet still not going anywhere. That is something, regardless of which perspective that you come from, you have to guard against clutter in your life, taking up time that it would be better used other ways. We generally can do just about anything, but you can't do everything all at the same time. There's a quote by James Dobson that goes like this. I'm going to roughly quote it here. What is the biggest obstacle facing the family? And I say that is very applicable for the individual as well. So what is the biggest obstacle facing the family right now? It is overcommitment, time pressure. There is nothing that will destroy family life more insidiously than hectic schedules and busy lives. If Satan can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. And that's just about the same thing. Quote by James Dobson there. Quite a number of years ago, I was in my early teens, took a family trip to California, and we were visiting some extended family out there. And at this family's church, they were putting on a play. And one of the scenes in that play took place in hell. And they had a person playing Satan, and he was sitting on an evil-looking throne. And there were people running around in costumes that were supposed to be demons. And each of the demons were throwing out different ideas of how to get people to do what the devil would want them to do, but ultimately to get them to not do what God wanted them to do. And all of the outright things they knew wouldn't work with people that had been believers for some time and had a little bit of testing under their belt. And then the devil, Satan himself, had an idea in the play. He said, I'll get them busy. Doing stuff, but not going anywhere. So we know what the fruits of the Spirit are. All those wonderful things that we need to see in our lives. But there are fruits to overcommitment. You're tired and exhausted. And the greatest of these, the greatest of these is love. Well, the greatest of the fruits of the spirit of stress, is that you are stressed. The fruit of the spirit of overcommitment The greatest of these is stress. But, as Proverbs says here, we have an answer to it. Today's Proverbs, more specifically, gives us the way out. In chapter 3, it began, "Do this now, my son. Deliver yourself when you are come into the hand of your friend. Humble yourself and make sure your friend. Give not sleep to your eyes, and don't go to sleep. Don't give rest to your eyelids." In other words, it's death. Deliver your soul as a roe from the hand of a hunter, and as a bird from the hand of a fowler. Okay, that's talking about some very serious life and death connotations there. I mean, we've heard a lot of the medical research been done that stress kills. There are many studies that have shown that many diseases and life-ending medical events are stress-related issues. However, there are other life and death issues in a figurative sense that this is warning against as well. I mean, there are many situations in life where it is imperative that we deliver on what we said we would do. Otherwise, it will go very poorly for us. So, the encouragement, the warning in this section of Scripture is to do whatever you need to do to untangle yourself. Get out of the mess, and don't rest at all until you get out. There's further instruction throughout later on in the book of Proverbs 3:27 and 28. "Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do it." Don't say to your neighbor, "Go and come again, and tomorrow I'll give it," when you have it with you. WHEN, when you can do it. Galatians 6:10 says, "As you have opportunity," as you have opportunity, "let us do good to all men, especially to them who are of the household of faith." When and as. Romans 13 and 8 says this, "Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loves one another hath fulfilled the law." So, do good when, if, and as you can. When, if, and as you can to the fullest of your ability, but no more. Obviously, there are going to be situations in life where you are the responsible party, and there's no way to abdicate, to delegate it away. The buck stops with you. However, unnecessary obligations are what this is warning against. Obligations that you don't have to take on. The if, as, and when, one's choice to do so, you have to ponder the path of your feet, as we talked about in chapter 1. Make life easier on yourself when it is in the power to do so. Deliver yourself out of these potentially life and death type of stressful situations. Abstain, decline from it. You really don't have to keep up with everybody. And that's very hard to do in our culture right now. Very hard. Very much a temptation for a great number of people, and I would say for probably everyone to one degree or another. So whatever it means in your situation to get out of overcommitting, that is what this instruction is for. And it is a daily battle. It is not a one-time thing and you're done and you are through with it. It is a daily battle of keeping the rocks, keeping the boundaries in place, as we've talked about in our previous chapters, pondering the path of our feet. And as Proverbs says here, it's only just a life and death situation, be it literally or figuratively. So Lord, help us apply this to our lives even right now. And it is by His power and through His power that we will be able to do it. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.